What makes a friend? I want you to get together with a few people around you and discuss this for just a minute. Alright, what were some of your ideas? Okay, next question. What keeps a friend? Let's get together with those same people and discuss this one now for another minute. If you said things like hanging out, doing things together, and investing time, then you're right on track. But unfortunately, so many people today lack the purpose and intentionality when it comes to relationships. And without even realizing it, people begin to slip away. Fierce community is not something you can coast into. It must be hands-on, it must be purposeful, it must be forged. The best community I ever heard of was the early church in Acts 2. My favorite line from this passage is where it says, "And all the believers were together and had everything in common." The closest thing I ever had to this was a community of believers built around a program at my church. Our weekly activities included internships with our specific ministries, Bible studies led by different group members, unaccredited Bible college classes, weekly shared meals, book clubs to learn from current pastors and theology teachers, and serving the church in our city together. We also had college housing, which meant we literally lived in houses together. These houses were a community within a community. They were purposed to serve the church and the college group. These relationships just happened naturally around these houses and around our church events. This was one of the busiest and also most fruitful and fulfilling seasons of my life. But unfortunately, it passed far too quickly. This is natural though, because life happens in seasons. High school is about 4 years, college or trade school is usually 2 to 4 years, internships 1 to 2, kind of within that college time frame usually. Feeling college age usually only lasts until you're married, or until you consider yourself a young professional. Sometimes it just happens around that 25, 26 mark. Then you start a career, and the list continues. Life goes on, people grow up, and often in different directions. It may not be fun, but it's a natural part of life. And it's also a natural part of Christian life for God to mobilize his people using their gifts, experiences, and trainings to reach the world. And when that happens, it's far too easy to fall out of touch with people. Mandy Oaklander from Time.com says, "Modern life can be so busy that people forget to keep choosing each other. It may not be something we mean to do, but it often just happens. And unfortunately, this can lead to adult loneliness." Julianne Holt Lundstad, professor of psychology and neuroscience, found during a study linking loneliness to mortality, loneliness wreaks health havoc in many ways, particularly because it removes the net of social support. When we perceive our world as threatening, that can be associated with an increase in heart rate and blood pressure. If you already have a strong community, then do everything you can to keep it, even if that means getting creative. But what about if you're struggling? Or what if you're on the edge of a big life change? Or what if you're already experiencing that loneliness and don't know what to do? What then? We have to find new ways to keep choosing each other. Each change of season requires different methods of intentionality. Some things we can control, but others we can't. This could mean changing life stages and new circumstances. Anything from going to school, to getting married, to getting a job, to having kids, to moving, to changing churches, or even something more unknown and unexpected as the coronavirus, which currently has changed the way we all do relationships. As lives change, we have to establish a community that is committed, flexible, and open, but also ruthless. Committed first because we need each other, and we need to hold each other accountable to keep meeting together. Flexible because adulthood is hard, and as your life gets more complex and as you get older, there's more chances for more curveballs to come your way, and you have to be flexible. Openness or vulnerability Because if we don't let ourselves be truly known, then we will never feel truly loved. The Journal of European Pentecostal Theological Association, when describing Brené Brown's work, says, Brown's social research has proved that vulnerability is the core of all emotions, and that mutual vulnerability aids inclusivity. It is the refusal of personal vulnerability that can lead to ideologies of exclusion. And so the church would benefit by learning mutual dependency and transparency, because life itself is vulnerable. And finally, ruthless, because we need it. But often when life gets busy, friendships are the first and easiest things to go. But what if you've already given up? It's never too late to start again. Either restart something new with an old friend group, or put yourself out there and try to make new friends. Try joining a group. If you give new people a chance, they may surprise you. No matter your situation, we have to realize that life changes. And through those changes, we have to remain intentional with the people we want to keep in our lives. This is not something that can be figured out overnight or fixed overnight. This is a day in and day out uphill battle to keep our people. Just like you cannot coast your way into a college degree or a good job, you cannot coast your way into strong, healthy relationships and expect them to last. Things worth holding on to take serious and continuous time and work. We must be intentional. We must be committed. We must be fierce. People are worth it.